Welcome to Black Woman Leading the podcast. I'm Laura Nice, your host and the founder of blackwomanleading.com. Today we're talking about reimagining balance with Pamela Gelie. Now, if you've ever given the concept of balance a side eye because it just felt too elusive, if you are feeling a burning need for more meaning, purpose, and alignment and want to know how to direct that energy, or if you are wondering how to juggle the many roles you play without forgetting about yourself in the process, then you need to keep listening. Let's get into it.
Black woman leading. Black woman leading.
This podcast amplifies the needs and experiences of Black women leaders in the workplace with a holistic focus on three core areas: leadership development, mental wellness, and relationship management. Our ultimate aim is to help Black women learn, heal, and grow in their leadership capacity.
Get ready, sis. The Black Woman Leading Live Conference and Retreat is back for our 4th annual event. And this year, we're leveling up. In 2026, we're developing future-ready leaders. Leaders prepared to rise, adapt, and thrive in a world that's changing every single day. Designed by Black women for Black women, this is a one-of-a-kind professional development experience. You'll go deep into the heart work and the head work, the alignment, strategy, clarity, and confidence you need to boldly walk into your next level. This year, we're spotlighting the skills and mindsets that define future-ready leadership, navigating disruption, leading through change, anticipating opportunity, and adapting with resilience and vision. Whether you're an emerging, mid-career, or senior leader, this space was created with you in mind. True to our cultural roots, we learn in community, across generations, across experiences, and across our shared brilliance. You'll be surrounded by Black women leaders, coaches, and experts, including direct learning from yours truly as the creator of the Black Women Leading programs and podcasts. If you are ready for transformation, if you are ready to expand your leadership and your wellness, if you're ready to prepare not only for what's now, but what's next, then you belong here. Join us at Black Woman Leading Live, May 11th through the 14th in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Save your seat at www.bwlretreat.com. Your future-ready leadership journey starts today. Hey everybody, today we are talking about reimagining balance with Pamela Gelie. Hey Pamela, welcome.
Hi, Laura. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, love to have you here. So we're going to get into this topic, and I think it's really timely for this season. But first, let me give the listeners the official about Pamela. So born in France to Afro-Caribbean parents, Pamela grew up between cultures and learned to adapt across worlds. A decade in London shaped her career, leading customer experience in global organizations across the UK and France. Those years taught her how to deliver at scale while navigating complexity and multicultural environments. Illness, mental health challenges, and family and discrimination tested her, but also built her resilience and empathy. Motherhood deepened her drive to create freedom and balance for her kids and the next generation. And today she channels her journey in a profound sense of give back into URise, the company she founded to turn lived experience into impact. And so I even love your bio, Pamela, right? A lot of times there's a lot of focus on, of course, the brilliant things that we do as leaders, but I love just acknowledging that everything has shaped, right, the work that you're doing now, the challenges, your vision for your family. I love that so much. So I wanted to talk about this topic, reimagining balance, because I feel like a lot of times as Black women leaders, you may be a mother, you may be a community member, you may be involved in your faith community, all of these things, you may be a caretaker, right? All of these things. And there's still an expectation for us to lead, be sharp, be bold, make the decisions while drinking our water, moisturizing our face, working out,
Absolutely.
spending time with our family, with your partner, with your kid. It's so much. And so I wanted to talk about this conversation where a lot of people feel like it's impossible to juggle all these things. what can a sustainable form of balance look like for us? So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it, Pamela. But before we jump into that, I have to ask you the question we always get started with. We ask all our guests, what does the phrase Black woman leading mean to you? And can you just share a little bit about your journey as a real Black woman leading and how you came to do your current work?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. So I started my career across France and the UK, leading customer experience for multinationals, and just completed my executive MBA as well. So
Congratulations.
um, as a Black woman leading in Western Europe, so we're not in Africa here. We're not. It's Western Europe. A lot of it really has to do with filling up spaces that were not designed for you. That's really
Hmm.
what I'm finding. In my private life, professional life, is how do you show up when you're not expected, when you're not wanted,
Mm.
even, and really refusing to shrink just to fit. So that's owning fully who you are. And that's really trying to give back as well to others so that more of us can really show up
Yeah.
and rise. And hopefully we can be a lot more, you know, co- confident and feeling powerful at the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And I hinted at it in your bio, but you've made some pivots, right, in your career and going from working inside of these large, multinational organizations to really being on a different track with the work that you're doing now. So, can you tell us a little bit about that and URise? I think it's inspirational for people to hear about pivots and shifts that people have made and that they're feeling fulfilled in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As I was saying, working in Western Europe as a Black woman, you're not only facing gender challenges, but also, racial
Yep.
challenges and a lot of them. And I found myself stuck in those companies, of course, bringing value that's often left invisible, delivering impact and delivering, just delivering,
Yeah.
and not being seen for it. And I felt the urge to create an environment for myself where I could feel valued, appreciated, but also find a way to give back to the community that's suffering and that has, I suppose, suffered and been hurt the way I've been. Whether it's not being acknowledged for your ideas, being felt like you don't belong, and that's not your where were you where you're from. Well,
Mm.
I'm from here, but where exactly? Those
Yeah.
kind of questions. And so I've left the corporate world to step into entrepreneurial ecosystem, and I'm now founding this company, URise, which is a company set to help the community. When I say the community, of course, I'm talking about our community,
Yeah.
as in Black Brown, help the community fight and overcome the microaggressions
Hmm.
that they experience in workplaces where they're not the dominant, right?
I
So it's,
see
it's
that.
really in white dominated spaces, be it biases, be it, microaggressions because of discrimination, racism.
Hmm.
How do we step up and own who we are with confidence and safety, whilst not being, of course, always labeled as, angry Black woman or aggressive Black
Of
man and so
course.
on. So that's what I'm working on.
I love it. And just, I know you are in the startup phase of that, but what does
Yes.
the content of that work look like, Pamela? Is that training, coaching? Is it policy work? What is the content, or do you imagine the content of the work will look
Yeah,
like?
it is going to be around coaching and around providing a safer mental health and mental space for
Yeah.
people to lead those conversations with more confidence. Because what we're finding is, we're always like, it's always double losses. First, you're being undermined, or you're being patronized, or you're being felt like you're almost nothing. And then often you have nothing to say about it because you either choose to say nothing, because it's going to kind of jeopardize your next
Yeah.
promotion or pay rise, or you just can't say anything. You're so shocked and gobsmacked. What was that? And so
Right.
that's really empowering the community and providing them tools to kind of own again their power and their energy in the face of adversity.
Yeah, yeah, and we see that this is a global thing, 'cause this is the same work we're doing with Black women leading over here in the US, right?
Absolutely.
And the we probably could host the exact same session, right? And it would reach our audiences across the world in different ways, and it's unfortunate, but that is the reality that we are.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
especially, I find that now people feel even more comfortable to kind of vocalize,
Yes.
you're the minority and you don't belong, and this and that. And there's definitely a lot of work to be done in that space, to make us feel better. I want our community to feel better, and also demystify a little bit, mental health.
Yeah.
It is okay, and we should care about it. It's important to look at it and understand the trauma we
Yeah.
are going through, so that we can, um, yeah, we can make them less negatively impactful in our lives.
Yeah, and that education is critical. It's critical.
Absolutely,
Let
absolutely.
let's get to this topic and talk about balance, okay? For some people this is like a four-letter word because they're like, "What is that?" But when
Yes.
you hear the word balance, Pamela, what does that
Mhm.
mean to you personally? And how has your idea of balance evolved over the different stages of your life?
Yeah, I think balance for me used to mean doing everything well at the same time. I'm going to be the perfect partner, perfect mother, perfect worker. I'm just going to do it all, even if I die and I collapse in bed at 9
Ugh,
p.m. But that was very much that. I can do all of it and balance it well. Nowadays, balance really means I need to accept and understand that I won't be able to get it done all at once. Some things are going to be 100%, others will be 70, and that's fine because
that's
I'm
fine.
human first and foremost. And even though I have the will and the appetite to do a lot of things, it is okay not to be able to give it your all everywhere and to deliver to the maximum as well everywhere. So that's really choosing the battles, choosing the priorities, and being content with that. I've had a lot of times in the past. I've had chronic illnesses where I've had to go in hospitals and have
Mm,
back surgeries, and you have to accept I'm stepping down. Let me
yeah.
focus on what I need to, my health, my kids, and the rest will have to wait. So yeah, that's owning that as power as well.
Yeah.
Like that's okay, and I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and it's kind of I feel like as I'm listening to you talk, it's really about honoring our humanity because the former way that you described, I do all of these equal sounds like a machine, right?
Absolutely,
I do this, I
absolutely,
do this, I do this. It sounds like a machine that doesn't need to rest, that can be on all the time. And often we're operating in that way as if we're machines. And something as simple, like you said, is acknowledging if I'm doing this 100% or 90%, this will have to be 60 or 70%. That is
absolutely.
literally the equivalent of being a human. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
sometimes,
no, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of self-care that goes into it because I think culturally the community has always had to kind of look very strong and can do and never complain. And I'm like, who for and what
yeah,
for at the end
yeah,
of the day. So balance also means looking deeply into your own needs
mm,
and where you want to be and what you need for yourself. And
yeah,
just working with that, instead of what people may think and may say and may. So that's owning back again. That's what I'm talking about. Power. It's
yes.
me at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's as you said, the needs is also the values because
Mm,
different seasons of your life, what's important at this moment, right?
yeah.
What's important of this at this moment, and then that shifts to the forefront, and that helps to give you some direction and priority for your balance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, a lot of all sorts of shapes and forms to balance. I've lived in different countries and I've worked with a lot of nationalities. It means something else in China and means something different in Denmark or Spain. And so there is no right or wrong. There's really what works for you.
Yeah, what you define. Yeah,
Hmm.
you talked about this a little bit with your shift to starting up URise, but I'd love to tap into this a little bit more because I feel like this is a boiling point that a lot of people are
Hmm.
experiencing this way. So when we
Yeah.
talked before, you shared about kind of a search for more freedom and meaning
Hmm.
and values alignment, which led to kind of this career pivot in entrepreneurship for you.
Yes.
Can you share just a little bit about your personal quest for that balance and the journey? I think there are people that are at different points on that journey. Somebody's right now just starting to question, right, the the current setup. There are other people who've that said, no, I'm going to do something different, and they're going, but they're hitting some adversity and they're like, oh my god, did I
Yes.
make the right decision? That is
Yeah.
just these different points along this journey. What was the impetus for you that said this is not going to work, this current thing is not going to work, that led you on this quest for the freedom, for the meaning, for the values alignment?
Absolutely. So perhaps from a work perspective, so I've worked in the UK for over 10 years and studied over there for 3 years. So I've got experience of about 15 years in the UK. And I was always able to work from home at least once a day, on a Friday or another day. And when I joined this company in Paris a few years ago, when we came back to France, I was not allowed to work from home. And I tell you, I was in agony because I may not look like it, but I'm more of an introvert person. So I do
Mhm.
need time by myself, quiet space to kind of,
Yeah.
reflect and get my energy back. And I really felt at that time that really is not working. Then COVID came along and I was able to work from home more, but then we were asked quickly to come back to the office. And that really was a shift for me. How do I regain my
Mm.
time? Because that's so many hours in an office where you're away from, other things that matter. I'm not saying that the other things matter more. It's all about, I have a pie, so like a pie chart, and work is a slice of it. It's not everything. And so
Exactly.
I need to find ways to also give time to the other slices in that pie. And there's family, and there's kids, there's you. How do you nurture yourself through social activities and so on? So that was really a years long journey to kind of accept the fact that this setting is not working for me, and if I cannot find it in a corporate environment, let me go and get it in other ways. And then there is this concept of give back, where I felt that again, that's so many hours given to shareholders, given to the stock exchange, given to a lot of different things, we
Yeah.
about ROI and net profit value and so on. And I'm like, that's really not going where it should go. And that also led me to, from my own experience again of, bias and microaggressions and discrimination, how do I perhaps merge this into something where I can really
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
back as well.
Yeah, and so as I'm hearing of what might be applicable to people who are listening, there was this awareness that the environment and the space was not conducive to the type of experience you wanted to be having in your life,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes, yes,
And that
yes.
mismatch, I think, and I think it's a generational thing sometimes too, because I think, and I love our elders, but I feel like it's a generational thing sometimes of I see it on LinkedIn when people might be speaking to more of a human experience about maybe something that's happening in an organization. And then you'll see some people
Mhm.
post like, people are so spoiled. It's a job and your employer. And if you don't like what it is, then, get you another job and these kind
Yeah,
of things. And it's like, it's not just we're just pouring into the employer. The employer could not exist if we were not there to do the
yeah,
work. So it has to be some give and take for
absolutely.
this to be meaningful for people.
Yeah,
When we
yeah,
think
yeah,
about, hours and hours and hours of your life,
yeah,
um, it's got to be
absolutely.
meaningful. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you remember those conversations at the time, maybe not so much in the US, but in France, it was like, well, you guys after COVID have to go back into the office.
Yeah.
We
In the
want to
US
be
too.
able to
Yep.
kind of see what people are doing. And I'm like, why would you recruit an employee that you do not trust? if you recruit me and hire me, you trust me to do my work, whether I'm in an office or in at home. And I feel like it's the same. You're taking a person to work, you're taking that person with everything else, with all the baggage,
Yeah.
and that you're taking the human as a whole. And so you have to take, the doctor's appointments and the kids, and that was for me what was kind of missed and left on the side.
Yeah.
That human, we are also humans, and we need balance, and we need to be able to choose where we want to work. Doesn't mean we're going to work less efficiently. Actually, we may be working more efficiently, but at least making space for those conversations and for options.
Yeah, it was the same in the US, and even now
Mm,
we're, not as intense, right? But even now you're seeing, I would think in the last 2 years, organizations then starting to say you come back in or you leave. And some people
yeah,
leaving because that it just I built my life in a different way and it just does not work. The other thing I think about, and I've been an entrepreneur for many years now and kind of just on my own scheduling and things, but I remember years ago I was an employee at a university for about 10 years and it was downtown. I lived kind of like in the south suburbs of the city. I was in Chicago at the time.
yeah,
And as I think back to the hours and hours of my life that was just in the commute,
yes,
just the day in, I mean, like 3 hours round trip, or I mean, I would get home, my kids had eaten, my mom would have fed my kids, and I'm kind of seeing them before bed for a little bit. Like half of the day was in the car.
yeah,
For
yeah,
some
yeah, yeah,
people, depending on where they are. So this is important. But you reference even, your children. Let's talk about the roles, right? Many of us are mothers or caretakers. A lot
yeah,
of our listeners now are in that sandwich generation. You may have children of your own you're taking care of, but you're also taking care of aging parents,
mm-hmm.
right? There might be your community builders. A lot of our Black woman leading community members are very active in their faith communities and their, in the social aspects of their communities. All of this, how does navigating these multiple roles help or harm our quest for balance? What have you found on your journey?
I think for me, there have been, a bit of a godsend, because when I came to France, so after the UK, after London, that's really when I started therapy. A, because I felt that I had more the means to do it, but I was also faced with this discrimination. It wasn't discrimination as in, I feel like discrimination is more when you can prove it is.
Yeah,
Here
yeah.
we were talking about microaggressions that were a lot more subtle,
Yes.
things not really said, but kind of implied, and, different behaviors. And I felt the need to protect my second role, well, my other role, which was being a mother. I
Yeah.
felt like I needed to really step into, mental health conversations, and how do we protect our energy, and
Yeah.
how do we self-care. So having those different hats at the time really helped me kind of embrace, tough realities. This is something you may have to talk about, and this is something, again, to be the best version of who you are.
Yeah.
And the same, being a sister and being the daughter of a woman who has um, also faced the hardship of growing up in the Caribbean and moving to France, and with
Yeah.
realities encompass. That also led me to say, hey, there's a lot of history in
Yeah.
this family and in the community. How do I protect myself? Not, cut myself from them, but how do I protect myself from the generational trauma that
Yes.
exists?
Yes.
So again, I can protect my role as a mother and my children. So the multiplicity of all of those hats I'm wearing, a professional, a sister, a mother, a daughter, and so on, really helped me to think, how can I be the best possible, and the healthiest possible, really.
Yeah, and I think, it's two sides of that coin. From the harm side, is some things we inherit, right? From just the
Yes.
generational trauma that we have to almost be the chain breakers for ourselves and also for our children going forth. But then
Yeah.
on the help side, what I'm hearing and what really resonates with me too is um desiring something different, right? Or desiring to show up differently for your children or for your community or for whatever it is that's important to you also brings a sense of awareness of, oh, I might need to do something differently about
Totally.
this,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I was interviewing Dr. Cornelia Berryman
Mm-hmm.
on the podcast, and she was her topic was talking about like casting your future and how the words we say and our mindset impacts what we see in the future.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she was saying how, like, just for parents, we know that your pretty much a lot of your brain development, your personality base is established by the age of 7
Mm.
for children. And so she was sharing, if we know that, how critical is it the things that we're saying to our children in those early years of life? And if we're holding trauma or something that our parents passed down from what they were saying to us, unless we tap into something like you said, your therapy, your spiritual practices, whatever that is for
Yes.
you, unless you tap into something to do differently, we will continue that cycle, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is that, and we now know through research that there is what we call epigenetic, where
Yes.
people can really see trauma passed on from a generation to generation that stays in the DNA. So
Yeah.
unless we willingly and consciously say, let me break that cycle for the greater good of the next generation, it's just going to repeat itself.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
hard. It's hard work, but I mean, it's like we don't have a choice but to try to do something different.
Absolutely. I think the minute
Yeah.
you know of the impact and the consequences, we otherwise we're compliant with it. We have to do something.
Yeah, we have to. We
Yeah.
have to. That's powerful. On this note, let's talk a little bit about resilience. And
Yes.
for many Black women, this is a double-edged sword. We had an
Yes.
excellent episode earlier in the season with Dr. Keisha Bentley Edwards. She's out of Duke Medical School, and her research is around how resilience is sometimes wrongly demanded from Black women all the time. and
Yes.
and when we think about resilience is really surviving. It's just the bounce back. It's not even the thriving part, right? It's
Yes.
just the surviving a lot of things which are structural inequities, right? um
Absolutely.
so of course there's the strong Black woman trope, and some of the things that holds our resilience so highly, almost like we're superhuman,
Yeah. Yeah.
to the detriment of our need to be soft and human and
And gentle with
vulnerable, and
ourselves.
yeah, and all of that. When you think about resilience and maybe standards that have been on us for resilience, what role has that played in your life, the resilience, and how do you balance that, the expectations of feeling needing to be resilient, needing to bounce back, with
Hmm.
sometimes I just need to crumble and take my time getting back to zero, right? How has that resilience experience been for you along your journey?
Yes, I think for me these days, and you were talking about the younger generation. I don't feel that young, but I'll take that as a compliment if
Yes,
you think
yes, yes.
I'm young. But it's almost like I don't give a F, as in, a lot of it is driven by what people will think of you,
Yeah,
and that really comes with a deep need of knowing yourself. The minute you
yeah,
know yourself, where you want to go, what you can do, what you need for yourself, the rest of it doesn't matter because we have one life, and it is now. So for me, resilience first is a word I hate because I would love for everyone not to have to be resilient. Being
exactly.
resilient means you're having to go through, like you said, structural hardship. And you would want to hope for a world where no one has to be resilient. You just have to be and live. But uh but yes, I've had times when I've had to show and prove I could really be strong and nothing would affect me, and a lot
Mm,
of it had to do with how I was raised as well, with my parents coming from the Caribbean in France. You always feel that you're in a position of inferiority. You're the immigrants coming, even though the French West Indies are French, but this is not really where you were born. So they always had that kind of position of don't show anything, don't say anything, don't show your pain. And so, I've had to kind of double it up all the time to show it's fine. But I suppose with kids and redefining your priorities and knowing who you are and what you want to do, um, you recenter on yourself. And if you want to cry, you cry. I always
Yeah.
tell my kids, crying is the first thing we do when we're born,
Yeah.
literally. So why wouldn't you cry? Why wouldn't you ask for help? Why wouldn't you say, I can't do it? The only
Yeah.
thing is, if you're down on the floor, always trying to stand, but be down on the floor. Just sit down for a second and
Yeah.
lay down if you want and just be there. It's okay to be like, not going great. So long as you try, I suppose, to then, get up at some point. But that's for me the best way of being powerful. It's saying I'm not okay. Need
Yeah.
therapy, need to find faith, need help. And yeah, owning that fully. That's really
Yeah.
strength. That's much better than resilience.
Yeah, giving yourself permission, right? To
Absolutely.
giving yourself
Yes.
permission to do that. And for our children, for our community that look to us giving being a model, even though that's not our intention, we're not first a model, but we are a model that's okay and being a
Yeah.
representation of that. I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
So I want to transition to a few of our core questions before we wrap the episode, but I want to go back. It's just lingering with me about that pivot, right? And that moment of
Yes.
awareness of saying, this is not going to work for me. This environment is not supportive of me. And the environment could be, you were talking about work environment when we were talking about pivot, but environment could be work. It could be romantic relationships. It could be friendships. It could be a physical space that you're living in, whatever that is for you. It could be just a career path that you're on. So let's say someone is listening and they are feeling that burning need to maybe shift for more meaning, more freedom, for values alignment. As you shared in your story, what would be your words of advice or encouragement for them as they pursue or decide what they want to do in that direction?
Yes, I would say first, you need to really be authentic and honest with what's not working, right?
Yeah.
Be it, relationships, work, other areas of your life. What is not working, and what would I want to have or be? And then the second big advice would be just start, do it, do
Mm,
something. Quite often people are like, "Oh, I haven't got it figured out. Oh, I don't have a plan. It's not structured." It doesn't matter. You'll
yeah.
find a way as you go along. The best day to start, people say, is yesterday. The second best time is today. And so that's probably what I say. Just start. And if you're scared, then do it with the fear, but
Yeah.
just do it. Because that's most likely where your growth is going to be as well, and the change and the transformation for you. So, go into your analytical mode of what's not happening, and then start with a couple of steps to make a change.
Okay. So name the experience, name the gap, and then take at least one step in the direction of where you want to go. I
Yeah,
love that.
absolutely. And then surround yourselves as well with perhaps people who have gone through that, right? Don't surround yourself with the bad energy, or I wouldn't say the bad advice, because you don't know what good advice looks like when you're started, but try and imagine, what good looks like for you, and surround yourself with people who have gotten there, be it
Yeah.
with a business, be it with relationships. Those are the ones who are going to give you the best advice possible.
I love it. And we call those possibility models. Those
Ah,
people who are doing it, who you could see a real life example of someone who was headed in that direction. I love it. I do want to shift and ask you one or two questions on our season's theme of leaning into joy. But
yeah.
before we shift to that, any kind of final thoughts you want to say on this topic of reimagining balance?
Um, be true to yourself, and stop, letting your life be guided by what others think. I think this is the biggest detriment to any progress, and any always looking like, what is everybody doing? Why are they here? Why am I there? It's
Yeah.
everybody has their own starting point. Everybody has their own destination and a unique way of going there. So the minute we can release ourselves from all of that noise,
Yeah.
nothing else matters. It's you and your journey and your ways, and full alignment, I would say.
I love it. I love it. So this season 8, our theme has been leaning into joy, like our undercurrent theme for all of our
Mhm.
episodes. And the intention with that is in this time, right? This season is rough for some people. What's happening on the global scale, politically, I know here in the US in particular, what's happening politically, economically,
Yes.
socially. And that doesn't even get to what's happening in people's personal lives, right?
Yes.
It is so much that just turn on the news, scroll on social media to see what is happening, and that collective trauma that a lot of these experiences are.
Yeah.
And not to say that there are not good things, there are good things happening in our life too, but it's a lot of heaviness to hold. And so
Yeah.
this season was, in spite of that, how do we find and make intentional time for experiencing joy, for integrating practices in our life that bring joy? So I'd like to ask you, what is your definition of joy? And has that definition shifted over time for you?
Um, Probably yes, in terms of it shifting. Joy for me is being content with where you are,
Mhm.
and the little things, and it has to do with a lot of gratefulness, because we don't have it all, and again, what is having it all? But we can fully appreciate what we have,
Mm,
at the moment. And I suppose with me having, illnesses in the past, and you never know how things are going to go, and you are very grateful for being able to walk. I'm
yeah,
so grateful in the morning I'm able to see outside and hear the birds and my children laughing. That's amazing. I'm like, my God, I have children, A, then B, they're in good health, and then three, they're happy. And
yeah,
so it's fully appreciating that nothing is given, nothing needs to be taken for granted. And there's joy everywhere. Give me, cheese and wine, and again, it's rich people's problems. Give me something, and put me on the floor with a book, and that's a joyful moment because I'm
yeah.
happy, I'm healthy, and I'm also having choice. And so, yeah, being fully appreciative of what you have when you have it.
Yeah, and I mean, when you say those are things that a lot of people who are healthy in those ways take for granted, right? Being able to walk, being able to see, being able to
Absolutely,
hear. Like there are people
absolutely.
that is a challenge, right? And so it definitely gives us some perspective. Have you ever had to relearn joy after a difficult season, and what did that process look like for you?
Probably again after I keep on going on about this, but after some of my hospital stays, you're always thinking, and I've had surgeries like back surgeries, and so it's a process where you're having again to not completely, how do I walk again, but you're losing a lot of muscle powers and
Yeah,
so on, and so there have been moments where I'm like, oh my God, that's gonna be really hard, but anytime I think this way, and that's probably how my brain is wired, but I'm like, but still, I'm so happy I'm in a hospital and
yeah,
some people are taking care of me. And hopefully I'll get there. So I'm always seeing the positive side to things. I don't know how to explain it, but people know me for this. People around me
yeah,
are like, oh my God, you're so positive. I'm like, it's probably not that, but it's that. We still
yeah.
have that, and that's amazing. So I'm trying to really make the most of what I have and try and work with what I don't have.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And last question, what is something these days that you are intentionally making space, like an activity or something you do that brings you joy, and you are making sure there is time on your calendar for that thing? What's one of those joyful practices for you?
That's probably taking care of myself,
Yeah.
and being consistent with it. So I'm a big list person. I like to tick things off my list. And so every morning I'm having my vitamins, and every morning I'm trying to do some push-ups, and
Okay.
then always hugging my kids before they leave and saying I love you, and the same at night. and I'm always having herbal tea in the evening. So being consistent with things and seeing the
Mm,
benefit of it, whether you're growing relationships, bonding with your children, or taking care of yourself, that's bringing me joy somehow. That may
yeah.
sound crazy to people,
Yeah,
but
I love
the
it.
consistency of it is very fulfilling when you know you're achieving, you're doing, and it's showing.
Consistency and simple practices. I love it so much.
Yes.
Well, this has been great talking to you, Pamela. How can people connect with you outside of the podcast? And is it anything you have going on you like people to know about?
Well, on LinkedIn, obviously, so Pamela Gelie, and then connect with me via URise as well. As I said, we are in beta versions at the moment, so we're preparing for full launch later on this year. But people can start to register on the website for the waitlist. So yeah, can't wait to see everyone
I
over there.
love it. I love it. And we'll put all of the links in the show notes. So, if you've been listening and you enjoyed this conversation resonated with you, be sure to share this with your community, with your friends, with your network to amplify these valuable conversations and the work that we're doing at Black Women Leading. We're available on all major podcast platforms, on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, and on the Black Woman Leading website. If you'd like to connect with us on socials, we are at Black Woman Leading. Woman is singular on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And if you'd like to learn about our programs and events, you can check out our website at blackwomanleading.com. If you'd like to connect with me personally, I'm at Laura E. Knights, and you can find me most on LinkedIn and Instagram. And then finally, if you'd like to learn more about the work that we're doing inside of organizations to help them create more effective leaders and high performing teams, check out our corporate site at knightsconsultinggroup.com. We love to connect with you in any of these ways. And until next time, be well.